Last episode, we talked about identity. How many of us spent years becoming what life required us to be. The provider, the protector, the worker, the fixer, the leader, the problem solver, the man that everyone depends on. And if episode 1 left many unanswered questions, that was intentional. But the one question that I want to focus on, if the men that we've become wasn't built intentionally or with intent, then what have we built ourselves upon? How exactly have us as men built ourselves? His life, habits, his standards, his potential future, the relationship that he's either in, working towards, or wants, his character. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, are we building with intent, or are we building by default? That's what we're discussing today with Pillar. Before a man can build a better life for himself, he has to have a foundation that's strong enough to support it. And most of us never got that opportunity because we were taught how to survive, how to adapt, how to endure, and how to build responsibility and carry it. But very few of us were given guidance on choosing the man we wanted to become. And that's why Pillar exists. Whether you realize it or not, every man lives by a code, a set of standards that he believes he built. Beliefs, habits, principles, expectations, rules. The problem is, most men never get to choose theirs. Some are inherited, some are taught, some come from experience, others are bred or built from survival. And over time, these pieces become part of our operating systems, a way for us to navigate through life. The issue is, by the time you finally realize this, it's already too late. You're now trying to reestablish yourself anyway. See, a man without a code feels purposeless. He questions himself, becomes reactive instead of proactive, becomes uncertain in his vision and his direction, becomes clouded by his emotions, becomes easily influenced by others, becomes distracted and unfocused, and eventually disconnected from himself. This is why structure matters, because structure realigns purpose, direction, and reassures values when life becomes difficult. Pillar isn't just a code, it's a structure, a framework, a foundation that you can return back to. A practical system used to help men think clearly, build intentionally, develop discipline, and establish internal stability so they can become the men they were meant to be. Everything we discuss on this channel returns back to this code. So let's go over the acronym. Pillar, purpose, integrity, logic, leadership, accountability, respect. These 6 principles work together in tandem as our foundation. Purpose provides clarity. Clarity redefines your direction, and your direction realigns you with perspective. Without purpose, you'll always drift. But with purpose, every decision, every thought, and every idea gains intention. Integrity is about morals, standards, values, and how you choose to conduct yourself. Think of integrity as your moral compass and your internal truth. It's about being honest with yourself, keeping your word, aligning each of your values with boundaries and actions that follow. Because self-respect can only begin when you establish who you are first. Logic isn't about just thinking clearly. It doesn't mean you act on impulse or chase wants and needs. It's calculated evaluation. Pros, the cons, the future, and the present. Each consequence and each benefit for each decision or action that you make. Your decisions ultimately don't just fall on you, but may influence or impact others. But the one thing that logic gets a bad rep for is lack of emotion. But logic is not the absence of emotion. It's the ability to work through them with awareness instead of reaction. See, this is the one most of us get wrong. We assume that we're supposed to lead, which then leads to men were meant to lead and we were born leaders. However, one can believe they were meant to lead, yet no one follows. One can give directions, but still not know where they're heading. One can say they solve problems, yet only make matters worse. See, because in order to lead, you must lead with intent. Because leadership only comes when you are able to lead yourself. Your time, habits, your standards, decision making, and problem solving. Because if we can't lead ourselves, confidence wavers, uncertainty becomes more noticeable, and no one will trust your logic or your reasoning. Accountability is ownership. One must be able to recognize their flaws, acknowledge their shortcomings, and then take actions in order to correct them. See, accountability isn't about shaming or self-destruction. It's also not about deflecting, projecting, or blame shaming. In order to be able to lead, one must accept reality, take ownership, and be willing to assume responsibility of what comes next. This is the hardest pillar to overcome, and it will need constant growth, learning, and development. Respect begins with how we treat ourselves, the standards we maintain, the boundaries we uphold, all within the life we are actively building. If your boundaries fluctuate or bend, even just the slightest, everyone else's boundaries for you will also. You can only gain respect once integrity has been established, and the respect you demand for yourself will be how everyone else views you, sees you, and treat you. None of these principles exist independently. They support one another. Purpose gives direction. Integrity keeps us aligned. Logic helps us think clearly. Leadership helps us act intentionally. Accountability keeps us honest. And respect protects what we're building. If you remove even one of these, instability and unraveling begins. But strengthen them, and your foundation becomes stronger. Looking at the 6 principles, which one of these is your strongest right now? And which one needs the most discipline? Purpose, integrity, logic, leadership, accountability, or respect? Drop yours in the comments below and the reason why. Before the next episode, take a few minutes to rate yourself from 1 to 10 in each of these principles. Identify your strengths and your opportunities of growth, because awareness is where growth can truly begin. The goal of Pillar isn't to be perfect, it's to intentionally build growth. We want to mitigate drifting, reactive impulses, and break the control of what society, circumstances, and life all demand from you, and then provide you the ability to become the men you choose to be. Because every man lives by a code, but the question is whether the code was chosen intentionally or was inherited accidentally. In the next episode, we're going to explore how many beliefs, habits, expectations, and identities that we carry today that were actually formed before we realized it. Because before we can intentionally build ourselves, we need to understand what shaped us in the first place. So we look forward to having you along on this journey as we continue to build better men, one pillar at a time.